Someone was asking me about cleaning singing bowls. It's actually one of the more common questions. And I'm going to show you with new bowls and antiques. Here's one of my Hope bowls. Remember those if you ever saw them? The first ever singing bowls with non-Asian symbols and words on them. I did Faith, Hope, Love, and Peace. This is one of the original ones that was all hand done. Later ones we did more of a computer design. And I cleaned this one so it had I think I have one of the peace bowls here. A few nice new bowls. I've got one of the really early peace bowls, yeah. So you wouldn't believe how many times I had them work on that bird. It was a real effort to get that right, and they still couldn't get it right. Anyway, this is one of the real early ones, and we didn't make a lot of them because they were a little sloppy, as you can see. They weren't as nice as I wanted them to be until we ended up with the computer design. But I'm just showing you that to show you what happens when you clean one of these. So I cleaned this with the Pine-All metal cleaner, and it went from that bronze patina, to that kind of cool golden look. I did that a few years ago, so you can see that's why you don't use store-bought cleaners. Brasso especially is even worse. That's actually a film from the cleaner that's on there that wasn't apparent until later, really. And you can see that kind of white haze over the whole thing. That's from that pine cleaner. And I'll talk about the antiques in a second, and you don't want to clean those. So then this was another one. This is one of the handmade new bowls that I've had for many years that I just liked this one, so I kept it. And it got almost black over the years. So that engraving style, the new ones that they're doing now are going to age better. These are going to hold up that shine so nicely for decades, guarantee it. But these, the handmade ones that were colored all over with the light and the dark color, it got really, really dark. And again, it was originally more in this shade of bronzy, browny. Actually, these were a little darker to begin with, darker than this, more like that, kind of almost blackish, brownish. But it definitely got super dark to where you couldn't see the design. You almost still, it's pretty dark. But I cleaned that maybe with Barkeeper's Friend, I don't remember. That might have also been the Pine-All. I'm not seeing as much of that residue, and it didn't take it off as much as with this one. So I'm wondering if I used something else on there, in which case it would have been Barkeeper's Friend, because that's the only other thing that I've really used besides what I used to use and recommend when it comes to, so I'm showing you new bowls. I'm not showing you the antiques. I do not have a cleaner that I recommend for the antiques today. There was one available that they seem to be out of business now. It was called English Custom Polish, and they had an antique bronze polish specifically that I used to recommend, and I used to use it myself. And I've cleaned bowls like this one with that years ago, and it comes out like a piece of gold. Just looks like a beautiful, beautiful piece of pure gold, and couldn't come out better. This is another one that I polished probably 20 years ago, and has already developed, a slightly darker color since then. I don't have too many that were polished. This one is one of my very first bowls that I got from Karma Moffat. So I've had this for, since 1998. So right now that's 26 years. I don't know what year you're watching this, but this was buffed. And you can still see there's that kind of reflective, slightly shiny quality even to that still when you compare it to something that hasn't had that kind of treatment to the surface. I don't know if that comes in the video, but it has that, looks like a shiny surface rather than a more matte surface like these. And that's from buffing. So just to show you that these treatments last a long, long, long time. I mean, that's 20 plus years ago. That's also one of the first bowls I got from Karma, and I cleaned it myself a few years later. This other one too, I did 20 years ago. So a really untouched bowl looks something like this. I mean, a really untouched bowl is going to look like that, plus layers and layers of dust and soot and, sometimes like sticky, whatever residues, there can be all kind. That's why you see some of those small stains. There was something on there that caused a stain often. That's a better example. There's a stain. So those were probably also cleaned at some point, and of course many of the imports, pretty much all the imports are cleaned at some stage before they're imported during the trade process. Over the years, people treat them in different ways, and they end up either something like that's really not been cleaned anytime recently. Certainly it hasn't been cleaned for who knows how many, couple hundred years, versus something like that had oxidation. These are my own bowls, so clearly I don't mind. Cleaning them actually improves the sound. So that's the thing too, is that when you clean the metal, it allows it to vibrate more freely, and they actually sound a lot better. Most bowls that have a lot of heavy oxidation, their sound can be a little bit compromised. It'll sound a little muffled, it won't ring as long, the harmonics won't be as clear. So it just stops the metal from vibrating a little bit when there is oxidation. There you go. But, it's not an extreme thing or anything that, and you're going to notice, plenty resonant. Really, it comes down to the bowl. So a great bowl is still going to sound great, even with some oxidation on it, or being uncleaned, or having been cleaned. People worry that cleaning can hurt the sound, and what it can do is make the harmonics sound more prominent. So the overtones can sound somewhat stronger if you remove all of the patina from an antique. The same with the new bowls. Anybody who works with those knows that the gold ones sound a little brighter because they don't go through the color and heat process that the colored ones do. I think it's more the heat process than having something on the metal. But in either case, you get a brighter tone when they look bright too. So I hope that helps. Sorry, I don't have a recommendation for anything to clean the antiques. You can use Barkeeper's Friend, the powder type. You mix it into a paste until it gets foamy, just like the instructions say. It really works best that way. Then just apply it and leave it, and then the more you scrub it, the cleaner it will get, but it also leaves fine scratches. So you will see those scratches along with having a cleaner surface. And that is definitely the downside of using Barkeeper's Friend. Really, the only two ways to really do it is to hand polish it. So this bowl took me probably, it was already pretty bright and didn't have any major like spots that I had to work on for a long time. So I probably only spent about 2 hours polishing that one, maybe 3. But I've spent longer than that polishing years and years ago when I did that a little bit. I didn't do many of them because it took so long. It would take 4 or 5 hours to polish a small bowl fully. And if you've ever polished silver back in the day, you know, it's really a lot of work. The only other way to do it properly is a jeweler could do it. A good jeweler who knew how to do it, they could buff it with jeweler's rouge, and that will also work really, really well on the antiques. If they do it too hard, could potentially wear down the engravings a little bit. You know, they would have to be someone who, you know, knows what they're doing. But there are people out there that do that and know what they're doing. I wouldn't try it on something that looked like that, just because that when you get that really dark color, it's not gonna work as well, and you could end up with, you know, really old metal that's very delicate and you're damaging it. So where the good candidates would be something that already looks pretty bright, like this one for sure would look, it's already been buffed or polished, but more, I'm thinking something like that already looks pretty clean and bright and just has some spots, or these that we know would look golden if they got polished up. But I wouldn't touch something that's really, really old, you know, that's one of the early bowls with the folds and things. I would never try to clean one of those. And I pretty much leave it to the ones that already look pretty golden. So that sometimes some of the, here's one that was polished too. That's one of the circle and dot bowls that look pretty golden. And I did a few of those circle and dot bowls years ago. I think this one, maybe I polished the outside and decided not to do the inside. And they've come out really nice. I mean, really golden, reflective, and just gorgeous. But I wouldn't do something like that, or like that that's got pitting and patina. It's just too hard, and if they get that old, it's better to leave them alone. I would do one of these. I think those are just great. The special engraved bowls, they're just stunning. They're some of the best sounding, best looking, finely crafted, and some of those are so clean and already, you know, halfway there that they would just look great polished up. So I hope that helps. Let me know what you think.